hit that record.
And we are rolling audio and video, y'all. So,
All
David,
right.
let's take a nice collective deep breath, y'all. We're gonna have a great show.
Yes, we will.
We're just talking. We're just talking.
Yeah, we're talking.
We're all just talking. David, let me know when you're ready for my countdown.
All right, James. Fire the countdown.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Gary's podcast, which this is our 26th episode. If it's still counting them out, yes, I'm still counting them out. But anyway, we're coming to you inside this beautiful radio station and Last Radio in this beautiful school of Pasadena City College on this warmer Friday. But however, according to forecasters like Darius Reyes, ABC7, I'm gonna try my guys for 1 second. The rain will come back next week. It could rain here Wednesday, Thursday, or maybe Friday or Saturday. The models are still decided, but the rain is coming next week. ABC7, witnesses. Back to you, Gary. Hey, good guys, Reyes. And I'm your host, Gary Sauer, and I'll be joined by my beautiful coach, Michelle. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, David. Thank you for having me.
Likewise, today we have a guest, and he's representing core here at PCC. And at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Gary's podcast for the first time, Raul Ibanez. Raul, welcome to Gary's podcast.
Hi, David. Hi, Michelle. That was one heck of an intro.
Oh, I practice again, so with I want to give a shout out to Jason Kelsey. Like I said, when he did the Terry Swift intro, I said, I got to do my own intro for my podcast. So you're welcome.
Well, it's I'm grateful and honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Likewise, at the same time, I want to give another shout out to my girl Skeppy Hernandez from Francoso, especially.
Yes.
She may have especially she told me like. Maybe email Raul again, and she was able to get you on my podcast. So, Skeppy, thank you for bringing Raul to my podcast. Especially, you're the one that brought Raul, Edward Baez and David Gomez from Francoso. Especially, we had blast interviewing a couple of weeks ago, and at the same time, thank you, Skeppy, for doing it, especially bringing my guest Raul. And Raul, our pleasure to have you here on Gary's podcast.
Thank you.
Now, I always tell my guests, are you ready for the topics and questions?
Ooh, hi. As ready as I'll ever be.
All right. So here we go. Here comes the curveball. Your first topic is core, and my first question is, how did you get hired at core?
So before I worked for CORE, I worked for the Trio Upward Bound Classic program at PCC, which is a federally funded grant that services first-generation low-income students in the PUSD and El Monte Unified School District. I remember being notified internally about a job opening, specifically to work with CORE. A lot of the scholars that I serviced in Upward Bound who ended up enrolling in PCC were ultimately CORE scholars, so I had heard of a lot of the great work that CORE had been doing, and I saw the opening come up, and so I went for it and applied. I was then invited to interview with a panel of the faculty champions, the coordinator, the supervising dean, the who is now the student services vice president, but was the dean at the time. And an administrative assistant all interviewed me, and I was offered the role the next day.
I love that. And what kind of resources do you guys have?
So CORE is an acronym that stands for Community Overcoming Recidivism Through Education. Not too many people know what the word recidivism is, but what it means is one's likelihood to go back into incarceration after they've been released. So to give you just a couple of numbers, about 75% of the people that are released after they're incarcerated have a likelihood to go back into incarceration within 3 to 5 years of release. So the recidivism rate of one coming out is about 76% within 3 to 5 years if you have no education. Now, if someone who is incarcerated receives some level of higher education, some level of college, that recidivism rate drops to nearly half. If that same person were to receive an associate's degree, that recidivism rate drops to about 13%. If that same person then receives a bachelor's degree, the recidivism rate drops dramatically to about 3%. And if they receive anything higher than a bachelor's degree, like a master's or a doctorate, then that recidivism rate drops to less than 1%. So the reason why programs like CORE exist is to overcome the recidivism rates through education, because we know that the data overwhelmingly proves that the more you have access to higher education, the less likely you are to return to incarceration. So the CORE program is the resource center on PCC's campus that specifically services our formerly incarcerated students. And we do it by offering a wide variety of academic-centered services like tutoring, advising, referrals to counseling, referrals to who we call CORE co-conspirators, which are faculty and staff on campus that are specifically trained throughout an entire academic year to service CORE scholars who have office hours outside of our space, who make themselves available to provide supplies and donations to our scholars, and are really extensions of our staff that serve as a safe space for our scholars so that they feel empowered to know that they can navigate and succeed at PCC and beyond PCC just like any other student that steps foot on the campus.
Wow, that's a lot of great information you just provided, Raul, especially that's great insight for you, especially hopefully our experience could learn a lot, especially what Raul just explained about Korea, and Raul getting from that great insight that you just gave. And everyone got good for getting response. Okay, all right. Now your second question, Raul, is can you tell us about CORE and the services you guys provide?
Sure. So in addition to the academic support that we provide, we also provide partnerships with community organizations that provide legal support, because a lot of our scholars have records and they are in dire need of expungement services. So an expungement is essentially a process that is facilitated by an attorney that helps an individual dilute or erase their criminal record so that they have access to jobs, housing, opportunities that otherwise would be barriers to them if they hadn't had an expungement otherwise. We partner directly with an organization locally in Pasadena called the Flintridge Center. They are a nonprofit organization that specifically provides services and job training to formerly incarcerated individuals, and they have a specific legal team that provides pro bono, aka free legal services to our CORE scholars to initiate expungement workshops so that they can clear records and they can have access to more opportunities.
And I don't know if this is like, if you guys have anything to do with this, but do you guys have offer rehab for them as well, or is that completely different?
We have another partnership, so I don't know if you all are aware, but the City of Pasadena is very unique in the sense that it has over 30 plus alcohol and drug rehabilitation centers in the city alone. That's the most per capita than any other city in the country. So a lot of our scholars actually come from those rehabilitation centers. The one that we have the strongest partnership with is Impact Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Center, located on Fair Oaks in Pasadena. And a lot of the graduates from those programs subsequently enroll into PCC and become stellar and phenomenal students, and ultimately end up transferring to other universities and give back and come back and sometimes even work for the program or actively refer program participants to PCC. In partnership with them in the past, we have offered something called SURGE, which stands for Substance Use Recovery Group Empowerment, which is a weekly session where there is a facilitated meeting by a drug and alcohol counselor that provides an avenue for students and staff and community members that are in active recovery to just talk about their journey, be in community, and feel like they have a safe space to talk about their experiences with addiction.
Nice. And I want to follow up on that. Do you guys also provide for mental health, especially if people are going through depression or suicide thoughts?
Absolutely. We partner very closely with the Lancer Accessibility Resource Services Center, We also partner very closely with personal counseling, because we believe that anyone that comes out of incarceration automatically qualifies for a disability, just because of the nature of the environment. And we often see that our scholars, when they come home and when they enroll at PCC, need to be pipelined directly into those services so that they can receive the appropriate accommodations, so that they can qualify for a program called the Department of Rehabilitation, which can further supplement and support and fund their education post PCC, post bachelor's, post master's, and all the way up to a doctorate degree. But they need to do that in order to qualify for services like those. They need to have a documented disability, and that's where our partnerships come in handy with LARS, with personal counseling, so that students not only are being supported in and outside of the classroom, but that they have an extension of a safe space outside of core on campus.
And obviously, like, you guys need to have a good relationship with the people you're helping. How do you guys maintain a good relationship with students and people you're?
It all starts with community. We do everything that we do with the mindset that we do it together. A lot of our peers, if you're ever in the space, you'll see that our scholars are actively giving each other resources, actively figuring out solutions amongst themselves. If you walk into the space, you'll see there's multiple tables filled with flyers, full of housing resources, basic needs resources, job opportunities, internships, partnering programs, recovery support. We're always constantly providing resources amongst each other in the community, so that folks know that they are not going through this academic journey alone, and that they have multiple layers of support and community while they're at PCC and when they graduate and go off to their next institution.
Nice. All right, now your third question, Raul, is tell us what you do at CORE while helping students.
So I oversee all program operations. So in a nutshell, my job is to keep the lights on. I make sure that first and foremost our staff is paid and paid on time. I make sure that we have enough funds to support our programming. I make sure that our students are constantly being serviced, whether it be by our staff, by me, by our partnering staff on campus. And I make sure that we have active and strong partnerships within the institution and outside in the community as well. So I work really hard to make sure that our students always know that they're not just supported here at CORE, but that the entire PCC campus really does give a damn about them and will go to bat for them and support them, because we really truly want to see them succeed academically, in the hopes that when they finish their journey here at PCC, they can come back and give back to the next generation of scholars.
Right. And you guys offer tutoring?
We do.
Yeah?
We do. We have a designated STEM tutor. We have a designated stats tutor. We have a designated English and writing tutor that works specifically out of the space, that are trained by the tutoring center, but work specifically out of the core space in Science Village 31, that provide weekly tutoring for all of our scholars that are in need of it.
That's wonderful. All right, now Raul. Oh wait, before we get to our second topic, I forgot my first flanger. Yes, everyone, my first flanger is back on Gary's podcast for the seventh time. Yes, flanger. You want to say hi to our wonderful podcast viewers, especially people watching us on YouTube? Yes. Hi everyone, this is Flanger. Yes, I'm back on Gary's podcast for the seventh time. And Gary, you almost forgot about me. Come on, Gary, don't do that to me. Flanger, it's okay. It's a family show, right? We have to keep it clean. Yes, Gary, we have to. Hey, you. Yes. I'm back on Gary's podcast home. Especially my 7 minutes. All right, Gary, Michelle, back to you. Get good, Flanger. All right. All right. This podcast is sponsored by Flanger. No, I'm kidding. All right. Now, Raul, your second topic is transfer resources. And your fourth question is, can you tell us about California State University Project Rebound and how it helps students?
So even taking a step back before that, the beautiful thing about joining the core program is when you enroll, you are considered what is called a rising scholar. There are about 101 Rising Scholar programs at different community colleges across the state of California. We technically, according to the state, we are considered a Rising Scholar program here at PCC. We just go by the name of CORE. But when a student joins our program, they're not just joining PCC's Rising Scholars program, they're joining a wide network of statewide programs where they have peers and they have access to other programs in different community colleges. They're doing the same work that we are doing here at PCC. And then when they finish their journey at PCC and they go off to, for example, a Cal State, there are programs all across the system that are our sister programs that basically do the equivalent of what we do, but they're called Project Rebound. And then if they choose to go to a UC, that sister program equivalent is called Underground Scholars. So the beauty about joining programs like ours is that the community and the network doesn't stop at PCC. When a student graduates, they have an extended family and an extended support network that we can provide a warm handoff to, so that they can continue to build their network and build their chosen family, even when they're done at PCC. And they can continue that until they finish their education. And that's the really beautiful part about programs, specifically in the state of California, that service formerly incarcerated and system impacted students, is that it's such a big and wide, beautiful network that our scholars have access to.
And after they graduate, even from like universities, you guys still keep in contact with them, or?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
we encourage them to consider coming back and working for the program. We urge them to consider coming back, and even if it's not at a staff capacity, to meet the next generation of scholars, to coach them, to tell them about their experiences, so that they can give them that bridge and that pipeline to whatever university they're currently at, so that our scholars are always constantly seeing living and breathing examples of people that were in their shoes that can do it and that can make it and that can successfully navigate higher education. Because for a lot of us, the thought of being in college, myself included, was never something that was in the cards. It was never something that we thought about. But to see it every day as a living example is really what keeps our students going and what makes our program so successful.
Yes, that's great. All right, now your next question, Raul. Tell us about Dr. Agnew and how it impact on the program.
Dr. Anthony Francoso is a legend. He's a living legend, not just here, but at Cal State LA as well. He is a tenured faculty that co-founded the core program along with Laura Hayes, who is a staff member at Homeboy Industries. And they are the reason why I have the job title that I have today. They were part of the effort to the years of effort to create a full-time position for the core program, which is what I currently have now. And Dr. Francoso, he teaches ethnic studies and sociology here at PCC. If you ask any student that has been fortunate enough to take a class with him, they will tell you that Dr. Francoso is one of the most caring, humble, down-to-earth, homey professors that you will meet on this campus. And that's who he is in real life as well. I've had the privilege of working alongside him for a little over a year and a half now. And even before I started working for the core program, I knew of him, and I would stalk him and research him, and I would see the type of work and the type of curriculum that he had, and I was just so impressed. And to be working with him now truly really is a privilege, and we're really lucky to not only have him be a part of core, but to have him be a part of the PCC campus in general.
And how did can you give us a brief history on how he managed to get core started here?
I mean, that would be a question for him, but I do know that it came from a collective of people that included faculty, administrators, staff, students, that constantly advocated to the administration here at PCC to get core quote unquote institutionalized. So I know that Dr. Cynthia Olivo, who is now the president of Fullerton College, played a key role in that. I know that Dr. Micaela Tomayas, Dr. Micaela, I don't want to butcher her last name, who is currently an administrator at the high school right next to Caltech, Poly.
Polytech?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the current administrator there. She played a key role in supporting CORE. Our Dean Miriam Altunji, who runs our enrollment office, played a role. Our scholars played a role. It was just a constant advocacy and pushing the institution to adopt and implement a program like CORE on our campus. And I know that they were key in successfully getting the grant that currently funds the program, which is called the Rising Scholars Grant.
Wow. All right, now it's time for the last question, everyone, here on Gavis Podcast. And Raul, your sixth question: is there any core events you want to announce here on Gavis Podcast?
Yes. So one of our key, I mean, there's so many, but one of our key events that is held in spring is called our Healing Arts event. We do a call out to the community and to the campus for folks to submit poetry, essays, artwork, graffiti, photography that encapsulate their experience with the carceral system, whether it be directly or indirectly. And we work very closely with Inscape magazine to publish a booklet, a physical booklet, and showcase it in April to the campus community. We even receive letters from carceral facilities in Lancaster, in Chino, in Linwood, with submissions from incarcerated individuals who submit poetry and writing to be published in this booklet. And we showcase it every spring in April because April is Second Chance Month. And we have an opportunity for the community to talk about their work and talk about what they've submitted in front of the campus community. And there's a lot of tears, there's a lot of vulnerability, but there's a lot of healing that happens as well. I remember when I did my first submission and talked about my experience with the carceral system, I cried like a baby in front of who knows how many people. But it really is a powerful and cathartic experience to really examine and reflect on your experience with such a punitive and such a oppressive system.
And then also, where can you, like, do you guys have a website or, like, Instagram that people can follow and look more into CORE?
Yes, absolutely. Let me pull up the handle so that I don't get it wrong, but I believe it's at CORE PCC. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's at COREPCC on Instagram. We do have a website that's in the process of being uploaded on the PCC website, but I highly, highly encourage you to follow the CORE Instagram, at COREPCC. We also have a CORE club. The full name is CORE Radical Scholars Student Club. I encourage folks to follow that Instagram as well, and also if to consider joining the club as well. That space is open to anybody that wants to be a part of the community, that wants to be an ally to the community, whether you're formerly incarcerated, system impacted, or none of the above. That space is open to anybody, and that handle is radical_scholars. So I encourage you to please follow both and be in community with us. We would love to do that with you.
That's awesome. I'm already following CORE on Instagram, but I'm gonna follow the other two Instagrams that you just mentioned here on Gavis Podcast. And before we go to my next question, you mentioned the Wingwood. Do you guys also have one like a Downey or Bill Garden, especially like I live 10 minutes near Wingwood?
A program near Linwood?
Like, is there also one down your Bill Gardens? Especially,
Yeah.
I live close to that city.
Yeah, yes. I'm not familiar with the community colleges there, but they would be the Rising Scholars programs at those community colleges. So, for example, Linwood, the facility in Linwood is in Compton's district.
Okay.
So I know Compton College has a Rising Scholars program. El Camino College has a Rising Scholars program. ELAC has a Rising Scholars program. Mount Sac has a Rising Scholars program. There's about 101 of us currently, where our goal is to be at every single community college in the state of California, with the hopes that every single person who is incarcerated has access to programs like these, because we believe that education is a fundamental human right,
Right.
and that just because you're behind bars, just because you've been incarcerated, just because you have a conviction, shouldn't deny you access to higher education.
Okay. All right. Now, your seventh question, Raul, is if you weren't working for CORE, where do you see yourself in the future?
I mean, I didn't even know that working for a program like this was a possibility. When I was a kid, when I was a student here, actually, at PCC, if you were to tell me that I would ultimately be working here for the college full time, I would looked you in the eyes and I would have told you you are crazy. I would have told you there's no way I'm coming back here to PCC. But it's funny just how life works. And even then, when I got hired at PCC, if you would have told me you'd be working for CORE down the line, I would have also said, you're crazy. There's no
Wow.
way. But the universe has a funny way of working itself out. If I wasn't working for CORE, if I wasn't working for PCC, I don't know. I also spend my time part-time doing work in the City of Pasadena. I helped co-found the city's Community Police Oversight Commission. I currently serve as the representative for District 5, and I'm set to term out in 2026. I don't know. I don't know whether my line of work would be in public policy or in another related educational field. If I'm being honest with you, I really like to eat food and I really like to spend time with my dog.
Me
So
too.
if there was a career in doing that, I would take it in a heartbeat.
And what's something you would want to tell new core members entering the program?
I would tell them that welcome to PCC. You deserve to be here. This is your campus. This is your space. You are not going through this alone, and we have your back 1,000%.
Beautiful.
Yeah, guys, like I said, I agree with you. I also love food, especially hanging out with my dog Oreo. Michelle, watch out! Oreo's behind you.
No.
All right.
If you look under your chair, no.
Oreo.
No, Oreo.
Oreo, how could you play my podcast? All right. Oreo, where's Oreo? I know. Oreo's over here. No, he's back home. All right. In any event, your last question, Raul, is where I want to know where gigging name CORE came from.
So there's been many iterations of CORE. So when back in the day, before it was a program on campus, it was a student club, and it was called Homeboy Scholars, and it was co-founded by students that were graduates of Homeboy Industries that were current students here at PCC, and Dr. Anthony Francoso was the faculty advisor for that program. Over time, and this is the lore that I've been told, students ended up, as the club grew, students ended up noticing that name was not inclusive, because there are homegirls that are scholars as well. It's not just homeboys. So then that name morphed into FIRST, and FIRST is an acronym for Formerly Incarcerated Radical Scholars Team. And for a while it was that. And then at one point, El Camino College, their Rising Scholars program, also was named FIRST. Shout out Pancho, shout out El Camino College. I love them. They do amazing work over there.
100%.
But the people here didn't want to share that same name. So I'm like, okay, we gotta change the name again. And then the name ultimately came to be community overcoming recidivism through education. And I think that name perfectly describes what the program does. And I don't know of anyone that will be able to replicate that on their own. So it stood strong still to this day.
Beautiful interview, David. Go ahead and wrap up.
All right.
Yeah. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raul. That was super interesting. And one more last very quick question for you is for those people coming into core also, is the process going to be hard for them to like apply or
No,
No.
not at all. The eligibility for the core program is that you are a PCC student, that you are enrolled in, and that you undergo an enrollment process with what we call an advocate for equity and justice. From there, once you're enrolled into core, you will be designated to a specific caseload, and an advocate will be constantly checking up on you, will constantly be sharing resources, checking in to make sure you're good with classes, that you are talking to your professors, that when it's time to transfer, you're ready and have everything you need to transfer, and to make sure that you feel like you have access to the community. The beautiful thing about our program is that we have a team full of formerly incarcerated system impacted staff members that have gone to PCC, have graduated from PCC, and have gone on to receive multiple bachelor's, master's, all the way up to our dean. She's on her way to completing her doctorate, and all of which are formerly incarcerated, system impacted, and provide a sense of support and community for all of our scholars that enroll. So it's not hard at all. It's just a matter of walking over to the science village. That's probably the hardest part, and then from there, just being in community and being in the space.
nice?
Nice. All right. Again, Raul, I want to thank you for being here on Gary's podcast. Especially all got great insight information that you just provide. Especially, hopefully, our podcast viewers could take advantage on those opportunities. And Raul, I want to thank you for giving us that wonderful information here on my podcast. And it was our pleasure having you here on the pod.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
At the same time, I'll quick shout out to Homeboy English Quiz, especially they do a great job. And at the same time, everyone, I want to thank you for watching Gary's podcast, our 26th episode. And next Friday, my classmate Josh from a radio class, he will be here. So he will be here next Friday here on Gary's podcast. And Flander, thank you for a major job as always. Thank you, Gary. This was so much fun. Thank you, Raul, for that great information about core and everything. This was amazing, and thank you, Michelle, for a amazing job as Gary's co-host.
Thank you, Flounder.
You're
You're
very welcome.
amazing.
And James Campbell and including Michael in the back. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching Gary's podcast, and we're out here. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.